Happy New Year! Welcome 2023. I hope that we all have a great year ahead of us, but for now, let's discuss about some 2022 movies. In this case, some underrated 2022 movies. Little hidden gems that didn't get much attention or appreciation of the public, but they do deserve it. Of course, since these are my picks, this list is heavily influenced by my taste in movies, my sense of humor, and particular subjects that I like, but I think there's something for everyone. Also, please feel free to comment down below what was the most underrated movie of 2022 for you. There's a lot of movies that come out in one year. We can't keep up with everything, so comment what's your hidden gem. I would like to know. But for now, let's start this list with one of my favorite movies from last year, that is Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. A 1950s London cleaning lady falls in love with a high fashion dress by Christian Dior and decides to gamble everything for the sake of this folly. I swear, this was the most wholesome experience I had all year. This is that type of movie that kinda restores your faith in humanity, because you think if there's people like Mrs. Harris around, then there is light, there is hope, because the whole movie is about you following your dreams and not letting people downsize you. So just because her job may not seem as something high fashion, that doesn't mean that like she can work hard, save the money, and then buy one of those dresses for her. This is just a great movie for fashion lovers and people that love comfort movies. You know, now that I think of, the Brits really know how to make wholesome movies. With this and Paddington, just wow. The next movie, it's called I Love My Dad. A hopelessly estranged father catfishes his son in an attempt to reconnect. Yes, you've heard that right. They made a movie with that premise, and it is as crazy as you may think. I guess a way to tell if you will enjoy this movie is if you liked Shiva Baby and that anxiety-inducing feeling, then you'll also find that in here, but in another level. It's just that thing of waiting for the moment to happen, and when it does, it's embarrassingly awkward. But putting that aside, the chat interactions, the way that they are brought to life, they are pretty creative. I really enjoy that. It brings the fantasy aspect of connecting with someone online, and that game of will we meet? Will we not meet? Is this connection real? Besides being a little predictable, because you know this will end badly, just a sort of funny, creative movie with a little spice of anxiety-inducing to get things going. Also, cannot forget to mention that Claudia is in this movie and she's pretty great, she's pretty dreamy. Next movie is The Bad Guys. When the infamous bad guys are finally caught after years of countless heists and being the world's most wanted villains, Mr. Wolf breaks the deal to save them all from prison. Given how animation is always expanding and not everything goes noticed, I decided to mention this one, because for me, it was just so much fun. Even though it's from DreamWorks, I didn't see many people commenting about it. It's one of the most fun adventures of all year. Heist films really need to keep your attention, and these intro characters do. Plus their abilities, it really brings it all in. The social commentary is great, using their images to judge how they're seen and who they can be. If society is so afraid of them, then what choice do they have then if not be the bad guys? Also, the animation style, I just loved it. It's so vivid, and it's part of this new wave that is inspired from Spider-Verse. Overall, The Bad Guys is a good heist movie with genuine characters leaning for a second chance. Keeping on the animation realm, the next movie I'm going to talk about is Entergalactic. Jabari is a charming artist on the cusp of real success. After a chance run-in with his cool neighbor, Meadow, Jabari has to figure out whether he can make space for love in his life. Same thing of The Bad Guys, this animation is reminiscent of Spider-Verse, but in this one the animation seems more clearly inspired. Despite being a little more static, I was not familiar with Kid Cudi's work. I genuinely saw this as a movie, and it is that. But it's also a visual companion piece to his album of the same name. To tell this love story, it clearly uses the animation aspect to transmit the character's feelings in a more surreal way. And oh my god, the music is so good, being a huge part of the storytelling of this movie, of course. Whenever a song comes up, it's like their soul is speaking through the music. My favorite song of the whole movie is Angel.
Such an angel in your halo.
Next movie we're going to be talking about, it's called Fire Island. A group of queer best friends gather in the Fire Island Pines for their annual week of love and laughter. But when a sudden change of events jeopardizes their summer in gay paradise, their bonds as a chosen family are pushed to the limit. This is just an outstanding rom-com inspired by Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. So it plays into some sort of classicism and the romantic dynamics of that story. I'm not gonna lie, but I just felt so warm after watching this movie. You know, just seeing two people connecting and having a good story behind it of why they feel the way they feel and why it may be difficult to open up to another person, but when you do, things can change. Overall, this is a vacation movie, a friendship one too, a period drama for the ages with hot summer nights, but also the cutest thing ever. Okay, next movie we're going to be talking about, it's Rosaline. Left heartbroken after Romeo begins to pursue her cousin Juliet, Rosaline schemes to foil the famous romance and win back her guy in this comedic twist of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. If you liked 10 Things I Hate About You, which did modernize Shakespeare, I feel like you will enjoy Rosaline. I gotta say right off the bat that for me this movie was very sassy. It may be awkward at first seeing this modern dialogue in this setting, but the predictable nature of the story creates a familiarity that holds the movie together. You already know what happens to Romeo and Juliet and their story, so the catch here is that we get the perspective of Rosaline. And you know, the actors do such a great delivery that you really start to having fun watching this story unfold, besides being a little predictable. For me, it is a good comedy in the same spirit of those teen sarcastic movies. Also, the ending is kinda great. The next movie, it's called Good Luck to You, Leo Grande. Nancy Stokes, a 55-year-old widow, apprehensively hires a sex worker to help her fulfill her wishes, but the road to there won't be as easy as she thought. I did talk about this movie in one of my A Little Bit of Everything videos. Haven't done those in a while. But anyways, this is probably one of the movies that most took out with me during the year. It's so much more than meets the eye. It explores intimacy in a way that I think women everywhere can relate. It has good dialogue, tension, and a pair of actors that really work together to make this movie be what it is. How this intimate act is viewed for women, how women who grew up in a time period see it in a way, how nowadays that view has changed but not completely. It's still sort of taboo, but I do think that the more we have these sort of conversations, the better. It's not something that's supposed to hurt you, it's supposed to give you information to take care of yourself and your health and everything. For me, it's just a gem to have a movie be so open to its audience. Like I said, in the first time that I talk about this movie, I totally get if this is not your cup of tea, but if it is, please give it a chance. Okay, we're getting to the end of the list, and the next movie we're going to be talking about, it's called Lady Chatterley's Lover. An unhappily married aristocrat begins a torrid affair with the gamekeeper on her husband's country estate. Look, I know that the synopsis sounds like a period cliché drama, but this adaptation has so much care for its story that comes out as a beautiful portrayal of romance during those times. There's just something about movies set in that time period that always seems to hit the core for me. Maybe it's the intensity and unfairness of it all. People who would make bold choices for its time and went through major consequences afterwards. Two people from different backgrounds was just impossible to get together. That's why they became lovers instead. And that's clearly a game of thrill and danger. While you're getting something you never thought would be possible, you feel constantly threatened by the real world, which then usually ends in tragedy. I think that Lady Chatterley's lover goes above and beyond to transmit the main protagonist's feelings. The soundtrack follows and sounds as her emotions speaking out loud. Despite the nature of the stories, that first spark can really pull you in. It becomes an intimate portrayal of love and what humans are willing to do for it. This one kinda falls into sort of a honorable mention to me. I did enjoy it, I didn't love it, but I do think it's an underrated one, so that's why I mention it here, and it is I Used to Be Famous. A former boy band star unexpectedly gets a second shot at success when he forms a bond with a gifted young drummer. This is also a rediscovered story with great affection at its core. I'll be honest, the protagonist, Vince, is a character that takes some time for you to go along with his story and his dreams, but what really makes you interested in going along is this friendship that he makes with his kid, Steve. He's the star and the heart of this movie, someone with his own struggles that don't define him, something that Vince has a hard time learning for himself. Through their bond, they both grow together and become better people and bolder to follow what means to them. I just love that the message really lies on fame will never replace a true connection between two people. We should get more stories that focus on neurodiversity on screen. This kid Steve is so sweet. I'm not kidding you, he's the sweetest boy ever. And he's actually the one that makes Vince learn more than the other way around. The next movie is called Petite Maman. It's a movie that technically it was screened at festivals in 2021, but he only got a broad release in 2022. He only got to platforms and for you to watch on digital. So I'll consider this a 2022 movie because of that. Following the death of her beloved grandmother, 8-year-old Nellie accompanies her parents to her mother's childhood home to begin the difficult process of cleaning out its contents. As Nellie explores the house and nearby woods, she is immediately drawn to a neighbor her own age building a treehouse. God damn it, this movie is so special. It's very subtle and delicate. It's from the same director of Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I've already admitted that I've never seen that movie. This was my first movie of Celine. It has a nuance to it that makes me reminded of it so fondly. You know, being a kid is so freeing and emotional. We feel things with such intensity and question everything that we lay our eyes on. Especially when it comes to our parents and their actions. We can sense when they're sad or mad and can't help but wondering if it has something to do with us. The connection is stronger than ever because we still don't have a big sense of self or the world. We're still exploring. It's very interesting how the movie explores both sides through the lens of childhood, with a story that flows naturally, doesn't overreact, and it's really sweet. Those were the most underrated movies of 2022 in my opinion. I hope that you enjoy it and that you check out these movies for yourself. I hope that one of them speaks to you. It feels so great talking about movies, you know, because movies indeed have the power to change the world, change your perspective, and teach you things. I have to get to a ton of 2022 movies that I couldn't get through, but like I said at the beginning, feel free to comment which 2022 movie was underrated to you and why people should watch it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!